Thank you all so much. You know, this is a very difficult subject, and I see someone in the crowd, Julie Levin. Stand up, look, Julie. Julie Levin, Mark Levin's wife, but just a leader in this issue of being a voice for the Jewish people, for the suffering that we have seen, the tragedies that we have witnessed against innocent lives. And these brave men have come here to deliver a somber message, but it's also a message of hope, a message of urgency, a message of action that we need to take. And here at CPAC, we all, a CPAC family, first we stand with your families. When you are in pain, when you are suffering, we are suffering with you, and we are praying for each and every one of you. And to start this, Gal, I want to start with you. You were at the Nova Music Festival that day on October 7th.
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
First of all, I'll start with thank you, Mercedes, and thank you, all of you, for being here, supporting us, and thank you for having us. The Nova Festival had almost 5,000 people in it, more than 20 nationalities. It was like a gathering of all sorts of different people from all sorts of different cultures. People went to celebrate life, spiritual people. It was a spiritual festival. And the people who were kidnapped from them had nothing to do with this conflict, had nothing to do with this war, and they should have never used as a currency in this war. I went to this festival because it was my brother's first festival ever.
And it's your younger brother.
It's my baby brother, yeah. And he never went to any of these kinds of festivals. So I encouraged him actually to go to this kind of festival because I knew that it's going to be a good one. And he asked me to come with him, to join him in his experience and to watch over him. And that was the only reason I went. And I arrived there pretty early in the morning. And 15 minutes after I arrived, the alarms already went off. And I asked my brother if he wanted to come to my house with his friends, and they all agreed to come to my apartment. And I asked him if he wanted to join me in my car. And he said that he don't want his friend to feel like he left them, so he's going to go back with them, and he see me at home. I think like 30 minutes later, the terrorists start shooting on us. It was a massive round of shooting. It came from all around us. We had to leave our cars and run away, and I haven't seen my brother ever since.
When that happened, tell us about the moment when you realized, oh my goodness, he's been taken.
So after almost 10 hours of fleeing, running and hiding, while terrorists shooting on me with gunshots and RPGs, rockets, I was finally able to get rescued by our forces. And they took us to the nearest police station. This is where I called my father. And my father sounded broken. And I said to him, look, if something happened to my brother, you need to let me know. And that's when he told me that my brother was kidnapped and that Hamas was already published a hostage video 3 hours before I was even able to escape, which means that my parents, my family, everyone knew that my brother was taken, but no one told me, so I can focus on saving my own life.
So they saw the video, your parents saw the video first.
Yeah, and I saw it when I saw it after I was rescued, and all I could think about is that I went there to watch over him, and I went back without him. I just couldn't realize it. It took me a while.
How are you getting through day by day?
It's a whole process for us, the families of the hostages. Every day it's another struggle, but we always have on our minds that our hostages, our loved ones, they suffer much more. And when we think about the pain that they have to endure while still in captive, we get strength and we get the power to do everything we can to help them. I know that my brother would do exactly the same for me, and we have to stay strong for them for when they will come back.
Moshe, your brother-in-law.
Thank you.
Omri. He has a wife, Lishai, and 2 beautiful girls. What happened?
On October the 7th, Hamas terrorists barged into my sister Lishai and Omri's home. They used a teenager from the kibbutz, Tomer Arava, to lure them to open the door. And they opened it immediately to save Tomer's life. Tomer was found dead a few days later, his body in a field. But Omri and Lishai knew that they were opening the door to terrorists to save his life. For hours they were held captive in their own home. My niece Roni was awakened with a gun pointed at her face, terrorists surrounding her. She was 2.5 years old back then. They were then grouped with another family in the kibbutz, the Edan family, whose eldest daughter, Mayan, was murdered. They were abused for hours. It was live streamed on Facebook. The terrorists took a phone of one of the captives and simply live streamed it on their Facebook account. And then at around 1:30 p.m., Omri was handcuffed. Lishai told him she loves him, she'll take care of the girls, and asked him not to be a hero. He told her he loves her, and that was the last time she saw him. Roni, my niece, tried to run to him. Lishai stopped her, luckily. And ever since, Omri has been a hero. For 503 days, he's been a hero in captivity, fighting for survival, while we are fighting here to returning home. I'm lucky because my sister Nisa survived, my parents survived, my other sister and her family survived. All experienced October the 7th while I was in New York. But being lucky means you have a hostage in your family that you need to fight for.
When Lishai called you, what did she tell you?
We discovered Lishai was rescued that evening, Israel time, the night. She was rescued 11 hours after the attack started by the IDF. After Omri was taken, she was held captive for a few more hours in that home. We talked for the first time a day later, the entire family on WhatsApp. We did a video call, and it was so difficult. By that time, my parents were rescued, my other sister was rescued, and luckily Shai and the girls were rescued. And we tried to understand what's going on, what do we need to do, where is Omri? And for the next couple of days, we discussed what do we need to do. I wanted to return to Israel to serve in the army. I was a captain in the IDF. But then my sister told me, I need you to be my soldier in this war until Omri comes home. I need you to speak up because there are very few people who can speak up for me and for Omri like you can. And since that day, I've been her voice. I've been Omri's voice. I've been every single hostage voice because they can't speak from the dungeons of Hamas. They are chained, they are starved, they're deprived of water, sanitation, sunlight. They're calling for the rescue. And we have to make sure to bring them home. Like Vice President J.D. Vance said, irrespective of other issues, there is one priority right now. Let's not sign more death certificates. Let's make sure all the hostages who are alive return home, and those who were murdered in captivity, like those who will return today and broke our heart, will be buried in the land of Israel.
Adi, your son, the oldest of three.
Yeah.
Edan, the only living American right now in captivity. How are you feeling? I mean, how are you processing this every day as a father?
You know, I'm just thinking about the place that my kids grew up in, which is Rockwell, Maryland, not far away from this hotel. And we moved to New Jersey back in 2008. It's really hard. I mean, Edan is all-American kid, Tenafly High School graduate, decided on a gap year to enlist himself to IDF, and because he loved both of his countries. And this is what he did. On that tragic day, he found himself on a tiny outpost next to Kibbutz Nir Oz, and he was the only soldier at this post. And the post was attacked, heavily attacked. He was surrounded by more than 20 militants. And after conducting a short fight, he found a way to surrender. So we kind of consider ourselves lucky that he managed to surrender. And ever since, he was seen in the tunnels right at the beginning. And then Hamas released this hostage video on Thanksgiving's weekend when we saw Edan speaking. We saw him well. He was pale. He wasn't himself, but he was alive. And this is what's important for us, and this is what drives us forward.
Gal, 69 hostages have been released. 6, I believe, now it's coming up on Saturday. We've seen the tragedy of the Bibas family, the 2 beautiful children, the mother, and we've all seen those photos. What is your message to the leaders out there, the international leaders out there, who are just not stepping up to put pressure on Hamas to release these release these hostages right now?
We have been waiting for so long to see hostages returning. And for almost 500 days, we waited for the second deal to come. And as soon as Trump started his role as the President of the United States, you could see hostages start to return. And I think that's because Trump knows evil and good. Trump can see, you mentioned the Bibas, little babies should have never used, taken as hostages, used as a currency in a war. That's just unimaginable evil. And for that we thank him. And I think that the world is looking at what's going on in the United States, and we believe that with him, we will get to see all the other hostages. But the thing is that we are grateful for all the lives that he saved already, but there are still many lives that are waiting to be saved. And I would say, don't forget about the hostages. Yeah.
This goes, Moshe, beyond a political issue. This is a humanity issue. And you've seen President Trump involved personally in this process, but the reality is, and you said this, you said that the fight against the Islamic terrorists, it's a long-term struggle, but there's this urgency to get these hostages released right now. I mean, how do you just describe this message to those out there so that the world can unite in saving these hostages?
I'll say that our struggle against Hamas, their accomplices, their funders and sponsors, members of the United Nations, is long-term. And we will finish that long-term struggle and be victorious. But for us as a society, to be victorious, to protect our social contract, our national and Jewish ethos, we have to bring home the hostages. It's a humanitarian issue. It's an international issue. Hostages from so many countries who were kidnapped, of several faiths who were kidnapped and are still held. Omri is a dual national, Israeli and Hungarian, and I can say the Hungarian government has stood behind us since the beginning. And so does the United States government. I'm so appreciative and grateful for President Trump's leadership, and I'm certain he knows that what needs to be happening now is that all the hostages must be freed. We have to keep demanding that Hamas let them go, but making sure that we make the concessions needed to bring them home in the short term.
Adi, you've spoken to President Trump multiple times. What does he tell you?
President Trump is a very tough guy, he's a smart guy. At the beginning, when we first met, before he took office, he was shocked by the fact that 45 Americans were killed on that day, on October 7th. To count anything like this, really, other than September 11, you have to go back to 80s. And ever since we met him, he took ownership on this matter, recognizing that Americans are still being held and 45 Americans killed, and we're really grateful for that. But we have to push forward until everybody's out. No tips and drips, bunch of them out, like hopefully this Saturday, and then we will be done.
Just to wrap up here, Gal, what do you want to tell our people here at CPAC? How can we support you and your family?
So we always say that we need your prayers and we need your actions. Don't forget the hostages. Don't forget that they are waiting for you. Everyone can do something, and we all have the responsibility to do all we can to bring them back. And together we will.
Adi, your message to what you want to know, how we can be helpful for you and your family as well.
Just keep this issue front and center. Keep praying. Really, this is the time to pray. We're in the middle of this process. Hopefully, we will be successful to pass it over the finish line with President Trump help, leadership, and Steve Witkoff's knowledge and leadership as well. Just keep praying, guys.
Moshe.
I'll ask all this amazing audience to close your eyes and imagine with me my nieces Ronnie and Alma running to their father Omri. Imagine my sister Lishai hugging and kissing her husband Omri. Imagine Danny, Omri's father, shaving his beard after hundreds of days and embracing his son Omri. And take that joy of picturing that to mobilize in every way you can: prayer, action, rallying, writing, so that I could tell my nieces Ronnie and Alma that their father is coming home tomorrow.
I do want to say we spent time with Noah, who is here. She's one of the freed hostages who was in captivity for over 200 days. And let me tell you something. This young woman is recovering from major trauma, and she's putting her trauma aside to be a voice for the rest of the hostages. Love you. So that is such a brave woman right there. And these are brave men who are being so strong for their families and for the Jewish people. And we here have an obligation to make sure we give them the love, the support, the prayers, and make sure that these hostages come back home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us at CPAC. You all really inspire us. And yes, we're going to bring the people back home. We're going to bring the hostages back home. We are going to stand with you, stand with your families, and ensure that we can start healing and start moving forward. Thank you so much. God bless.